Number 15. After experiencing a slew of paranormal activity at the Randolph County Asylum in Winchester, Indiana, Billy Gerber, a custodian, began recording every shift. One day he is sweeping the basement when this noise fills the room. Do you believe him after watching this? Also, check out how a shadow passes directly over him as soon as the voice says "help me." It's there for a split second, then gone. A janitor is closing up a restaurant in San Francisco called The Chapel, which is said to be haunted by the ghost of a small girl. As soon as he is done locking the door, something tries to leave and then runs away. If she was afraid of getting locked in, why didn't she bang on the door to be let out? Also, how come she didn't say anything when all of the lights turned off? On the contrary, if this was instead a real person trying to sneak in, then she probably wouldn't immediately try to open the door because it could set off an alarm. I guess she could just be making sure the janitor really is leaving. But since this restaurant is said to be haunted by the ghost of a small girl, I believe this could be her. Number 14. A group of forest rangers set up a camera at the Platte River State Fish Hatchery in Michigan to live stream a nest of baby bald eagles mature. They were never intending to accidentally capture a second, much larger creature instead during the live feed. A giant humanoid figure covered in what appears to be black fur prowls around the forest floor below. It doesn't look like any other native forest animal, as it clearly stands upright and swings its arms while walking. Maybe it's a person in a full bodysuit, or maybe it's an actual Bigfoot. Then again, since numerous other Bigfoot sightings have been reported in the state over the years, it could very well be legit. This video was taken in the Sequoia National Forest in Northern California by police trying to bust growers. They left the cameras out in a field to try and catch the grow operators on tape, but they find something much more unexpected instead. A pair of hairy red arms flips the camera over without warning and quickly buries it under a bunch of leaves. Everything from an escaped orangutan to Bigfoot itself has been proposed. Though nothing has been confirmed, I have no idea what it is either, but judging from this video, I'd say it's clear that this is not someone in a costume. Number 13. This video was streamed live from Telemark, Norway. A YouTuber named Odins2 sees a gigantic disturbance in the water, so he pulls over and starts recording. This is what he sees. This video was streamed live from Telemark, Norway. A YouTuber named Odins2 sees a gigantic disturbance in the water, so he pulls over and starts recording. This is what he sees. It starts out as a long and skinny, shimmering mass, but after a while it really starts to take form, especially in the center. Possibly as the monster rises very close to the surface. Since there are no boats nearby and the water is mostly calm, many people suspect that this is a famous legendary sea serpent named Seljord, which is Norwegian for Selma. It's kind of like Norway's version of the Loch Ness Monster. I guess it could just be fishing nets, or a long string of garbage instead, but it's hard to tell for certain. Maybe someone out there with fishing experience can let me know if it looks like any of those things. This video was taken in Akron, Ohio by two teenagers while driving past a cemetery on their work break.
She's getting down there. Super weird.
A ghoulish, dark figure is surrounded by fresh dirt, as it apparently is digging up something in the cemetery. Possibly its next meal. The stunned friends stop to watch it for a while longer before driving off and uploading the video later. They have no idea what it could be, and neither do I. I was also unable to find any news stories of grave disturbances in Akron, further making me believe this may not have happened. Then again, maybe this incident was buried by the local authorities for whatever reason. Either way, let me know if you think these friends really saw something, or if they are part of an internet hoax. Number 12. Most of the passengers have on headsets and are watching a mid-flight movie, but one of them sees a reoccurring image and takes out their phone. This brief clip is the final instance of what they saw. Floating up from one of the seats is a formless mist that briefly swirls into the shape of a twisted face and disappears. All airlines are smoke-free nowadays, but I suppose that could be another possibility. Number 11. Meteors keep flying over Japan, and they keep getting weirder each time. This relatively normal one, spotted in February of 2013, looks to be on a downward course until it burns up in the atmosphere at the last second. Then just 1 year later, another one manages to get even closer, this time piercing a cloud. And 2 years later, this strange green object is seen heading away from the Earth during broad daylight, and in its wake are two smaller objects that likewise simply shouldn't exist. Even researchers are confused as to why the meteor was so bright, strangely colored, and clearly visible in daylight. Look again, is it really a UFO? A boy records the scenic view outside of his window, as passengers often do. When he looks up to record an oncoming plane, he accidentally picks up a fast-moving disc-like object traveling in the opposite direction.
Whoa, did you?
Looking at it frame by frame, the small flat rectangle is abnormal and does not change shape or gain detail as it moves across the screen. It's definitely not wildlife, and it's too small to be a drone, not to mention up way too high. So what could it be, aside from the possible UFO? Others have pointed out that the trail left behind by the other plane looks odd as well. I think it looks like normal vapor trails created by engine exhaust, but I could be wrong. Does it look suspicious to you? And do you think these two events, the UFO and the other plane, could somehow be related? Number 10. This leaked aerial footage was taken in late 2006. A formation of Italian fighter jets returned to base after conducting some training exercises when one of them, the one shown here, notices a thick black cloud fast approaching and only has moments to react.
Come? Oh, sta passando da pane in mezzo a noi.
He performs an emergency maneuver and barely avoids a commercial airliner full of civilian passengers at the last possible second. Thankfully, his training kicked in because the much larger jetliner could not have changed its course. Look again and you'll see they come close enough to almost clip wings. If they had collided, no one would have survived. An airplane enthusiast and YouTuber named John Graff is recording this commercial jetliner flying over Los Angeles when a second, much larger aircraft cuts in front of it and then promptly disappears. His friend standing next to him says it was easily as big as a fighter jet, but it doesn't make a sound, which should be impossible. Listen to this part taken at the 43-second mark. You can hear one plane but not the other.
Oh, that was nice. Anybody see that?
What I find weird about this video is that John Graff continues to focus on the first plane. You would think that he would immediately follow the other one, but I guess this is a minor point. And other than that, it looks fairly real. Number 9. An angry elephant blocks the path of a safari jeep to keep them from going any deeper into its territory. The animal is giving a clear warning to turn around.
A situation like this, if you turn and run, 90% of the time he's gonna run after you. So,
but they think they can persuade it to do otherwise. I think most people would heed the warning of a wild animal, but according to their tour guide, the only way to survive this situation is to stand firm. The driver does the unthinkable and actually moves forward, which makes the elephant back up and flap its ears with surprise, but it's not giving up yet. Soon it gives a charge of its own and a warning cry.
Hey.
To counter this, the safari guide turns the engine off and on to startle the animal.
I think you should switch it on.
Of course, this means staring down the elephant with no power to the vehicle. During these moments, they are extremely vulnerable. If the elephant charges, there's absolutely nothing for them to do. Fortunately, their strategy works and the elephant eventually relents, standing to the side of the road and letting them pass. Number 8. A YouTuber named Matthew Van Hughes is enjoying nature when he hears a loud voice of someone who apparently isn't. Listen to this part and tell me if you can literally hear the word help being said, because I think I can. The sound quiets down and then switches over to something far less human. Skeptics think that this is some kind of wild animal, but I think I can hear English being spoken here, but I can't tell what. Maybe the words "don't take me." Let me know what you hear. When he gets to the bottom off the cliff, nothing is there. Matthew waits for an hour and doesn't hear anything else, so he leaves whatever it was to take their final breaths. Phil Sinclair's Paranormal Investigations is taking a look at one of Britain's most haunted roads, the Stocksbridge Bypass, when something passes by his right shoulder.
Who am I talking to?
This could be a crew member, but Phil Sinclair doesn't seem to think so, and some of the commenters have noticed this pale figure over his right shoulder seems to briefly change shape. I'm not sure about that, but I do think they definitely look like they are running away, which is weird considering everyone else is standing completely still. Number 7.
Oh my.
Richard Griebnick recorded this creature from inside his home over the summer of 2017. He is on the phone calling a friend named Mike for help while a large, hunched-over white humanoid prowls around his backyard. The gargoyle, as Richard describes it, seems to sniff the air from time to time, almost as if it can detect someone's presence nearby. It certainly has the build of a predator, but for some reason it seems hesitant to move forward. If you were wondering why Richard would call his friend instead of the police, I was thinking the same question, but soon it becomes clear that Mike knows how to handle this situation better than anyone. The humanoid creature convulses as Mike unleashes a string of words in an ancient-sounding language I have never heard before. If you recognize what is being said here and can translate, please let me know. After Mike is finished speaking, the creature sulks off into the forest where it came from. The event looks very convincing, but I wish that Richard could have zoomed in a little more so we could have gotten a closer look. If this is real though, then he was probably way too scared to worry about camera work, so I definitely understand and still fully appreciate what he was able to record. Number 6. Two friends are observing a polar bear exhibit when one of the animals playfully swims by, bringing them closer to the glass. The bear passes and they continue their quiet conversation. Less than 10 seconds later, they are both nearly swallowing mouthfuls of aquarium water. A gigantic rock somehow becomes dislodged and smashes into the window without warning. The two quickly get out of there before the glass breaks and the water comes rushing in, along with the bears. They're extremely lucky that only the corner of the rock makes contact and bounces off. If it hit any other angle, the glass probably would have broken completely on the spot. Number 5. A YouTuber named Mr. Technical Difficult and his friends are hanging out by a river when they see an old abandoned cooler on the other side. They don't pay much attention to it at first, but after a while they grow curious as to what could possibly be inside. Finally, they can't take the suspense anymore and decide to retrieve the floating container. What they find inside is troubling.
Open the hatch. What?
They remove an excessive amount of masking tape and pop the lid only to see a black-eyed doll peering back at them. The creepy doll is dressed in red suspenders and its head is turned directly towards the camera. No one knows what to make of this unsettling discovery, and they all stand around for a bit laughing nervously. To this day, the group has absolutely no explanation as to how or why this doll was sealed and sent down the river, or more importantly, who is responsible for this strange message. Number 4. When a YouTuber named Aqua Chigger stumbles across a fallen tree, something compels him to take a look inside. He immediately spots an unusual fragment in the freshly upturned earth.
Weird. What do you think?
This prompts him to look inside of the hole. He doesn't see anything else at first, but then...
Ooh, what's that? Stuff might just have gotten real, guys.
It's a piece of green fabric that Aqua Chigger hopes is just a tent. When he finds buttons, however, he knows that this is somebody's blouse. He finds some more remains and turns them over and over again, trying to determine if they are human or not. He notes that they are right by the highway, and even says that police found a different body in a creek not too far from here. He eventually finds the jaw of a deer and some other scattered animal remains, so he decides not to call the police. Even if this was just animal remains, it still doesn't explain the fabric he found, nor does it explain how a couple of other bones look like they possibly could have belonged to a human. Let me know what you think this was, and if you think he came across something that should have been reported. Number 3. There's a face in the wall. Can you see it?
Her face, you can see her face. Look.
Yeah, that's that.
The eyes are wide and black, and the face is a little more than a tiny frown. Then, after 1 minute and 5 seconds, I think I see a hand appear. They say it looks like the face of a girl, but the youngest daughter swears up and down that she had nothing to do with it.
She wasn't there last
She
time.
never went. She never went, no.
And when, just for fun, they ask the face on the wall if it is the spirit of someone young or old, they get a weird response.
Put a light if you're a young girl.
So is this really a spirit, or just an imprint left behind of a child who stuck their face against a dirty wall? A YouTuber named Charles M is checking out an old house for sale in Las Vegas that was supposedly owned by the mafia. At one point during the tour, he comes across a fake wall in the kitchen and follows an old set of stairs down to a secret basement. The basement extends for a long time further and further underground, eventually opening up into a long white room that's completely bare, except for cabinets lining the far wall. Connected to this room are 2 other smaller rooms about the size of a closet. They each give him a bad feeling. The 2 smaller rooms are dark and soundproof. Strangest of all, the doors only have knobs on the outside. I don't know why the mob would have needed a soundproof room that nobody could escape from, and I don't want to know. That's all he finds. Hidden inside the ventilation shaft of one of the rooms is what appears to be a single spent bullet casing. Number 2. For over 30 years, a woman named Stella Lansing had visions beyond her explanation. She was surprised to find these strange occurrences could be recorded and shared with others through basic camera equipment, like this transparent man with a long face and beard, or these men standing closely together, the third of which looks certainly off. People began to doubt her as her popularity spread, so to satisfy her skeptics, Stella began recording with as many different types of cameras as she could find, and things just became weirder from there. This voice, for example, was supposedly recorded using an 8mm camera that could not detect sound. Also, keep in mind that this was decades ago before video editing equipment was available to the public, which is why I think this is probably real. After a while, she began to record strange rectangular disc-like shapes around everyday objects like airplanes. Experts at the time were unable to explain how some of these shapes appeared to literally move between the frames of film themselves in a way that is not technologically possible. Only major movie studios would be able to do something like this, and even then it wouldn't look the same. And when you zoom in these strange shapes, you can see they actually appear to be tiny floating aircrafts of some kind. Let me know if you can see what I'm talking about. And more importantly, if you believe what Stella claimed to have regularly seen. The world is filled with lost radio signals from long ago. One of these many mystery stations was this broadcast from East Germany that started in the 1970s. We still don't know what it was, only that it sounded like it could drive a person to madness if they listened for long enough. Every so often, the overwhelming wall of noise would give way to a group of men singing in twisted voices. Maybe it's just me, but this almost sounds like some kind of ancient ritual or chant. The broadcast abruptly stopped in 1990 after about 20 years. Give me your best guess as to what this broadcast was used for, because I haven't the slightest clue. I've got a challenge for you. Since you've made it this far, why not like this video and hit subscribe in the next 5 seconds? Because we upload a new scary video every week. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. Number 1. This popular chain restaurant in a children's hospital is said to be haunted, and I need your help to tell if this is real or not. A small transparent girl runs by, but something is a little off about the video, and it looks like it might be photoshopped. If any video editing experts can tell me if this ghost sighting is fake or real, I could definitely use your help. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!